Tomorrow, there will be only two kinds of organizations. Those that command cloud and those just hanging on. NetApp has a strategy that puts cloud at the center of your business, seamlessly integrating you to the world's biggest cloud providers, delivering cloud-native data services with the extreme performance that lets you manage and run applications in the cloud confidently, and keeping your data flowing smoothly with the NetApp Data Fabric across clouds, across IT, across teams. Now you can gain total visibility and control over all your data, monitor its every pulse to drive peak performance and better, faster decisions, and speak the native language of cloud services like analytics and AI. Inspire innovation across your organization with the cloud. Please welcome journalist, reporter, author, Kate Russell.
Me again. Hello. What a surprise. Now, I know that you've seen me up here already, but now I would like to officially welcome you to this morning's keynote here at Insight. As I said, my name is Kate Russell, and the excitement continues in just a moment when we're going to be bringing on a very special guest. But first of all, here's what's happening. While yesterday was about the need to be data-driven, today we show you how NetApp's data fabric strategy will make that all possible. For his perspective on what we've learned yesterday and what today's keynote will bring, please welcome Executive Vice President of NetApp Worldwide Field and Customer Operations, Henri Richard.
Hello, Kate. Hi, everyone. Okay, I know there was a big party last night, but you can do better than this. Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Brilliant. They need the energy. Last night they got amped, and today they need to get amped again.
Well, I'm from France. I don't want the Americans to say the Europeans are quieter.
Right?
Right?
Who would want that?
No, come on.
Now, listen, we've been talking about the tweet
yes.
initiative.
Give me an update. How are we doing?
I'm very excited to announce we have hit our $8,000 total.
Yay!
Congratulations, everybody.
But hold on, but 8,000, that's a silly
limit.
number. I'm going to raise it to 10,000. Let's go for 10,000, right?
So you heard it here. Keep tweeting, keep using that hashtag. And of course, the charity that we're supporting is absolutely amazing. E-learning for kids.
It's phenomenal. I have the blessing of having two of my daughters being teachers. I always think about how much they can make a difference in a kid's life. And so I can't say enough good things about this particular initiative, leveraging the power of the internet to bring knowledge and hope.
Absolutely.
And ambition to young kids. It's
and not just
phenomenal.
for kids as well. I mean, they do great support materials for parents and
yes.
teachers as well, so that they can keep that educational journey going beyond the confines of
So we
school.
can't do enough. Let's beat 10,000, guys and girls, please.
Let's beat 10,000. Now, yesterday, George walked us through the importance of being data-driven.
Yes.
Henri, what resonated with you from that?
Well, there's a few things. First, I thought it was interesting that we talk about disruption, we talk about all those startups, and the reality is they start with no data. If you have a legacy business, and sometimes legacy can be seen as negative, the reality is you have a tremendous wealth because you have a lot of data. And so it's about getting on the agenda to leverage that data and make it part of your digital transformation journey. So I thought that was interesting, right? It's not the world of the startups and the digital disruptors. There's a lot of fighting back that can take place.
And now if you think, we can do that tomorrow, it's not getting any easier, is it? Because the amount of data that we collectively as humanity are storing is raising exponentially.
Of course, it's exponential. But it's interesting that you make this point because as I go around the world and talk to customers and partners, it's very easy to sit down with an executive and ask them, what's your business strategy? And you get an answer. But I can tell you that even today, if you sit down and say, what is your data strategy? You typically don't get an answer. And so I think that's the point of the agenda, that it's time to move on. You have to be able to express very clearly what is your data strategy, whatever business you're in, as well as you could explain what your business strategy. Because as we heard, data is becoming the business in a lot of cases.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I guess I would say, I'm hearing people say data is the new oil, and I guess
Yes.
I think NetApp is the new engine.
Absolutely.
Drive that oil.
Absolutely. Another thing that George said that resonated with me, you know, I'm a racer. Speed is the new scale. I think this notion of agility, you know, being there, time to market, and all these things are becoming much more important. It's about being quick, and you can't ever be quick enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Okay, so now let's talk about Gerd, because obviously Gerd was a brilliant speaker. He came on. He had some powerful things to say. He provided great information about how we need to think about the future, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, you know, first, I'm glad that he finally gave me a name for this. I now know it's my external brain.
External brain.
I'm known to lose my mind. I know I can't lose this thing. That's for sure. The other thing that I want to make absolutely clear is that you know, my home country is not for sale. You know, France. I did check with Facebook and Google. They're not going to buy it.
Good.
But more seriously, you know, I thought that what was interesting is this reality that with all the talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, the importance of emotional intelligence and the role of, you know, us humans remains very important. Gives me hope for the future.
Absolutely, and I think one of the stats that he mentioned, because we hear a lot of people talking about how, you know, automation is going to replace our jobs and everything, but the new stat from McKinsey was only 5% of the automated jobs can be fully automated. So there's definitely a role for us still.
There is a role, but it's also important in that role to think about diversity. You know, we had the Women in Technology luncheon yesterday, was very well attended. And you know, one of the questions was, you know, how do we ensure that our AI developments reflect the diversity of the world? And I thought that's a very important question and something to really think about and be proactive about.
Yes.
You know, because otherwise you're going to end up with computers that are very kind of monolithic in their thinking. That wouldn't be a good thing.
No, absolutely not. And Phoebe pointed out, one of our A team just now, that the Women in Tech lunch, I have to say, I was so impressed by the turnout. And not just women, but the men as well, right? We all need to sit down and have a conversation about diversity together.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
I thought it was brilliant.
Now, you are out there talking to customers around the world, of course, Henri. What are they telling you about what working with NetApp is like?
Well, you know, recently I was talking to a customer that gave me a great quote. I want to share it with you. And basically what he said is, I'm smart enough to know I'm not your largest customer, but you are smart enough to never remind me of that fact. And I thought that was such a brilliant way to express, you know, who we are at NetApp. I mean, when you come from the outside and join this company, the one thing that immediately strikes you is the absolute commitment from all of my colleagues to doing what's right for the customer, first and foremost. And I think we live by that rule, and certainly it gives me the opportunity to thank, you know, all of my colleagues in the room and all of our partners and customers, because I remember vividly being here in Berlin, you know, 12 months ago, and you guys helped us deliver an incredible set of success. So I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all of you for a wonderful year that we've just had. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
Really.
And of course, that mutual respect that you have with your customers is, I think, is really well represented by the range and the level and the caliber of people that we have speaking at this event today. Can you give us your take on what we can expect to hear this morning?
Yeah, so before I talk about this morning, I'd like to take also an opportunity to thank two groups of people. You know, as I was strolling the hallways, I got a lot of people telling me that this year the technical content was even higher than last year. So I think we owe it to all of the presenters, you know, for whom it's not the primary job, that have put a lot of hard work in putting all that content together, to give them a big round of applause and thank him for that.
All of the contributors.
Really great job.
Thank you so much.
Really fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is that, you know, an event of this magnitude doesn't come together easily. And so I want to formally thank Gene English, the events team, and the entire marketing department at NetApp for putting together such a great insight. Thank you so much. Really.
Yeah.
Now, to this morning, right?
Yes.
So first, we're going to have DreamWorks coming back on stage, but this time from the technical side of things. And you know, they're an amazing company. I've had the great privilege to work with them several times in my career. You know, one little fact that is very important, They have written 100% of the software they use in their pipeline. They are a software company with an incredible depth in technology. You'll hear more from them. And then after that, you know, we have had a big change in the last 12 months at NetApp in the formation of business units that are aligned to our IT imperatives that you heard about yesterday. And so each of our business unit leaders are going to come and talk about the product portfolio. And I think just like me, you'll be impressed by the fact that there's a continuity between them and that they're all together really making the data fabric a reality. And then last but not least, one of my favorite speakers, a wonderful person to whom we ought to be all together today, you know, our founder, Dave Hitz. So a pretty nice agenda this morning in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's good reason that everyone's packed in their seats and eager to go on. Very quickly then, any last thoughts?
Well, very simply, you know, this is your event. So your feedback is fundamental to us about any aspect of it, the technical content, the location, whatever you want to share with us, because we're putting a lot of work and spending a lot of money to make sure we deliver the best possible experience. Without your feedback, it's difficult to improve upon it. Make the best out of it. You know, we are excited by the trajectory of the company, by our unique strategy, but there's always room for improvement. So my ask is, have a great rest of your insight. Tell us what we can do better, and thank you for the business and the support.
Thank you. And from me personally, Henri, as we see you off the stage, thank you so much. You've been such a joy to work with. Everybody, Henri Richard.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Goodbye, guys.
Wow. So, as you can see, an awful lot coming up today. And yesterday, Kate Swanberg not only gave us a sneak peek into DreamWorks' upcoming blockbuster, she also shared with us the blockbuster data requirements involved in bringing those amazing characters and scenes to the big screen. You know, 5 billion files active at any one time. It's incredible. And DreamWorks is looking for ways to streamline their production process and give their artists as much creative flexibility and control as possible. And having helped manage data for every CG animated film that's been produced at DreamWorks, NetApp has got deep insights into the challenges that are involved in securely managing the more than 500 million files and 120 million core hours of rendering that go into each animated feature-length film. Well, to share now some perspective on the data-driven aspirations for both DreamWorks and NetApp, please welcome DreamWorks Chief Technology Officer Jeff Wyke and NetApp Chief Technology Officer of Storage Systems and Software, Scott Dawkins.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Scott.
And I'd like to thank DreamWorks for sharing the look at the new Dragons movie yesterday, Hidden World.
Welcome.
It really is a beautiful film and very exciting to watch. So
and opens in February.
Opens in February. Everyone should buy tickets, several tickets. So take us behind the scenes a little bit. Tell us about some of the data challenges, the technology challenges that you faced to put together such a fantastic movie.
Thanks. I will. You know, the creation of an animated film, and Kate alluded to it yesterday, is a high-performance computing challenge. You know, we have 400 to 600 artists, engineers, and creative people that over a period of 4 years actually create one of these animated films, and it's a large compute challenge. I mean, this really is a digital manufacturing process. You know, you have to, once you have the design for the film and the characters and the environments that you want to make, you actually have to create that. And every single thing that happens in a film is actually created on a computer. So you have to, you know, model those characters. You have to surface them and texture them. You have to do your set dressing. You have to create the environments that they're going to be in. You have to put the structure, the puppeteering inside of each character, and then the animators have to use that to animate, you know, every aspect of it. And then you add your explosions, which I know, Scott, you're fond of, and you know, the things of mist, dust, smoke, environment, effects, more of those things. Chorizo, you got to add all of those things into it, and then at the end of that, you have to put all of that data together and then you have to generate that image, and some of that processing could take anywhere from 20 minutes to 20 hours to generate just a single image. And 24 images per second, 90-minute film, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but it's a lot.
Something like 120,000 images to get to that 90-minute film.
Thanks for doing that math, Scott.
Yeah.
But yeah, and from a data management aspect, that all of that data, it's about 500 million files that go into that. The amount of compute is about 100 for How to Train Your Dragon was 120 million core hours of rendering. So that's a lot of processing, and keeping track of all that data is quite a challenge.
Over 4 years, too.
Over that 4 years part. Yeah, that's for a film. And by the way, we do 2 to 3 films per year. So we have, over that period, at any given time, like right now, we have 10 films that are in active production. So keeping all that straight is quite a technical challenge.
We hear similar challenges, maybe not at that scale, from other customers. The increasing size of data sets, the more complexity in the work, the urgency on schedules. And so part of our focus in the portfolio is to continue to deliver more performance, more capacity, more scale, get the data closer to compute at the right time, and meet those increasing demands on the workload. I did a little bit of the back of the envelope too for some other products, trying to get to your scale.
Mm-hmm.
One of the larger projects we do is a data on tap release, a big software development.
Right.
And I couldn't get to 500 million files. I could get to 500,000, and I couldn't get to 120 million core hours for the project. I could get to about 5 million. On the other hand, I was talking to a friend that does development for complicated chips,
Mm-hmm.
and they have actually kind of a similar workflow. It's a team that's not all sitting together. It takes a couple years. It's, in their case, could be as many as 1 billion or 1.5 billion files over the whole life of a large chip. So with similar kind of challenges of this increasing data size, the demands on performance, the need to be very responsive to the people using the infrastructure. In your case, it's artists. In our case, it might be software developers. But we can't have data systems that have an artist sit and wait for a few minutes, right? They probably get pretty bored and wander off and do something else, I suppose, if you're not keeping up with the speed for them.
Yeah, surprisingly, we talked to some of my peers in the oil and gas industry, and their problems, the scale of their problems are very, very similar to ours. Ours is a lot prettier, but
It is very cool data.
it is cool data.
Talk a little bit about the demands on your infrastructure and where you see that going. How do you possibly keep up with that scale and with the demands on the work? What do you have to do in your infrastructure to keep up with that?
Well, there's, it was funny because the other day we were looking at how the industry, especially in our studio, has changed since Shrek in 2001 to How to Train Your Dragon: Hidden World, which releases in February. And we were looking at that, and looking at that, how much that demand for compute and data has increased. I mean, I think the original Shrek, we had 5 million CPU hours. No cores didn't exist at that time, but you look at that, several orders of magnitude at that point. And the number of files, really about 16,000 files. Now we have 500 million. It's the increase has gotten crazy. The time to make a film hasn't changed. The number of artists you use hasn't changed, but the amount of stuff, the number of explosions, which you love, that's gone in there. I mean, that's really increased, and it's about how many more characters can we put on film. Shrek had one dragon in it that was in some shots, and it was very challenging, and chained a lot to restrict the motion, not just for the film, but also we do cheats because the technology isn't quite capable of doing what you want to do. 16,000 dragons in one shot in How to Train Your Dragon: Hidden World. So that the ability of what animators and what creative people can do, technology has really played a pivotal role in enabling that.
And now you're moving into leveraging public cloud, as well as your pretty extensive data centers.
Mm-hmm.
So as you go down that path, how's that changed the workflows you have to support, or the environment you have to keep available for the for the artists and for the compute?
It's actually a massive change. One of the things for companies like ours that did not start in the cloud, it is very challenging to move to public cloud. You have a lot of legacy software that has to be ported. You have ways of working. You have latency issues, especially for artists. Latency is very important. If they're, you know how when you look at your phone and you're trying to send a text and it takes a second, and you get very frustrated. Imagine if you were painting and the paint was being applied just a few milliseconds after your stroke. That would be a huge detriment to your creativity, that flow that you want to keep people in. So we want to make sure that technology enables them to not have that. But getting back to your question, so now we're really looking at if we want to move to the public cloud, because we can't continue to expand our data center to match the what's required by the creative people. We're looking at how can we take our own infrastructure, our own data center, and make that cloud native. So for the past couple of years, we've been changing our entire infrastructure to be microservices based, to put our software into containers, to deploy it with Kubernetes, to do all those things, to give all those great aspects of cloud, to have that on-prem. And what that will allow us to do then is what I call do-and workflows. I want any workflow that's in the studio to be able to process that inside of my data center, and I want to move that workflow also to public cloud. And I want to be able to control that. I don't want an artist to think about it. An artist shouldn't care where her work is being computed. I want to control that. And things I want to look at cost. Because, by the way, if you can tell your CEOs, public cloud is not free. I want to dispel that rumor today. But you want to know, from a cost aspect, where should that go? From a workflow or process aspect, where should I be processing that? And all public clouds are not created equally. Some are better at some things than others, and so I want to be able to take that into account as well, which is a problem. I want to be cloud agnostic because I want our own data center to be cloud. I want to use different public clouds, but at the same time, I want to take advantage of that. And then I have to worry about how am I going to get my data in sync and in the right place.
So have an infrastructure that lets you have your data center plus resources in the cloud, manage all of it seamlessly,
right,
and make decisions in real time based on what the artists want, what resources you have, and the schedule for the production.
Yeah, easy, right?
Piece of cake. So appreciate it. Thank you. It's very exciting. February is when the movie comes out. If you have one more second, just between you and me.
Yes.
I've been working on a script.
You know what? For any of you out there that have scripts that want to come in, we are not allowed to accept scripts. Things. But if you have a really good idea and I have a non-disclosure in my pocket, I'll give you. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Very exciting, Jeff. Thank you.
Wow, fascinating stuff. Thank you, Scott, Jeff, so much for joining us once more this morning. Please give them a huge round of applause. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next item on the agenda? It is the NetApp. We're talking about the NetApp Data Fabric. It was created for a data-driven world, and it's about helping your organization unleash the power of data to meet business demands and gain a competitive edge. Now, as Henri mentioned this morning, the NetApp Data Fabric strategy makes it possible to inspire innovation with the cloud, build clouds to accelerate new services, and modernize IT architecture with cloud-connected flash. In this next segment, we'll explore these three imperatives, beginning with cloud data services. Now, you can inspire tremendous innovation with the cloud, but you want it to be easy. And NetApp delivers a frictionless way to deploy, monitor, maintain, and manage infrastructure on the biggest public clouds so that customers don't have to. Our next presenter tells us how. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome NetApp Senior Vice President and GM of Cloud Business Unit, Anthony Lai.
morning, everybody. It's a real honor to be here. You know, I've been just having a great time at NetApp. I came here really with a perspective of not really knowing what NetApp's role might or might not be in these public clouds, and myself as an application developer, having spent my entire career in the last 17 years of it building on those clouds, it was really a chance in a lifetime to come to an organization with so much history, with so much heritage, with so much value. And now I stand here and I can honestly say that, you know, we're a pioneer. We're building solutions for this cloud and hybrid cloud world. And we stand here with a pretty good, if not excellent, portfolio of services. And we've really worked hard to make those services available for our traditional customers, the storage administrators, people within IT looking to extend their current infrastructures to embrace public cloud for secondary workloads like DR and backup, DevOps, and now increasingly for primary workloads. And we've gone beyond the storage admins, and we have, as an organization, worked very, very hard to understand the modern-day DevOps roles, most notably characterized by Google as site reliability engineers. So we find ourselves in a wonderful position in a very, very short period of time. We're building essentially a set of services that enable you, our customers, to operate your businesses in the cloud or essentially in a hybrid cloud scenario. And the clouds have, I think, proven to all of us that they are, by almost every measure, really the place where digital transformation is happening. The amount of money that these organizations are spending on their infrastructure, the amount of engineering talent that they bring, and the amount of innovation that's coming from these organizations is breathtaking. So our job really at NetApp is to help the public clouds, to help the customers to embrace and to inspire innovation within the public cloud. And so, as was said, our charter within my organization is not just to build things, but actually to run them, actually to monitor, manage, maintain them on these clouds so that customers don't have to. So customers can spend their time innovating. Customers can spend their time doing the things that make them different rather than spending their time doing things that don't. And we've really changed, I think, a lot of the premise that was delivered by public cloud around infrastructure as a service. We've tried to go beyond just the traditional model of delivering infrastructure and letting you guys figure it out. We wanted to sort of bring the concept of SaaS, software as a service, to the infrastructure. We wanted you to really have the concept of sort of dial tone. If you wanted something within a public cloud and NetApp could provide it, we wanted to make it instantly available to you. We wanted to make it flexible. You could consume it or subscribe to it. And I certainly feel that my team have done an amazing job in a very short period of time of delivering this rich and often industry-unique set of services. So what we've done is we've really invested in all 4 layers of our stack. We continue to develop very, very aggressively on the public clouds around NFS and SMB. We're extending those protocols to connect them up to all the different compute services that are available in the PaaS layer. On top of the basic protocols, we expose an ever-increasing number of services to help you move data, to help you protect data, to help you secure data. And then at level 3, we've really spent a lot of time focusing on Kubernetes. And I'll share with you a little bit about what we're doing there in a few minutes. And in Las Vegas, and we'll show you here today, we announced the general availability of a brand new service called Cloud Insights. So for me and for my team, since I stood on stage at Berlin last year, I think it's been an amazing year of innovation. And as George said yesterday, speed is the new scale. And my organization, I think, very much epitomizes that. We release things every single day so that our customers can benefit from these services. We are very, very big believers, as owners of the strategy for the data fabric, that really is the fundamental thing that enables you, our customers, and as I said yesterday, the custodians of our company's biggest assets, the data, to operate in a dynamic and effective way as your organizations go through this digital transformation. And so I thought, a year later, what better person to come up and talk about what we've been doing than the General Manager of Azure Storage, Media and Edge, a good friend of mine, a person that we work with very, very closely, and within Microsoft, we're doing amazing things. So please welcome Tad Brockway.
Hey,
Hey, Tad.
great to see you.
Thank you so much. Another year.
That's right, yeah.
And we stood on stage in Berlin last year and we made the announcement that we
Yes.
were going to do something pretty unique.
That's right.
And
We've been doing it.
it's been, I think, just a fantastic relationship. I don't know if
Yep.
you would want to comment on some of the things that you think we've been doing and some of the
Sure.
things that we are doing.
Sure, definitely. So over the last year, we've been working together as our two companies, and it feels like, I mean, we just got to know each other so well. Our engineers working with NetApp engineers, and what we're doing is, there is nothing like it in the marketplace. I think in terms of engineering projects, this is really something that we're doing that's historic in a lot of ways. We have NetApp engineers working side by side with Microsoft engineers, and what we're doing together is we're designing a system that is going to enable the lowest latency, the fastest, best scale performance for file systems in the cloud, period. And we're doing that by designing custom networking and having NetApp ONTAP inside Microsoft DCs as part of our infrastructure. So very unique.
Yeah, and as I said, what I think makes it really, really special is we've decided to sort of deeply embed all of these services behind the Azure console, behind the ARM API. It is and feels and operates as a Microsoft service. It's a service that is always available, a service that scales up incredibly well and down.
Yeah.
I mean, Ted, I think some of the things that, you know, have excited me are just now the wealth of workloads that weren't possible to run on any cloud
Yep.
are now very much an opportunity for Microsoft.
Yeah, I agree. So the thing that inspired, I think, the two of us, our two companies, to get together was our deep appreciation for enterprise workloads. And Microsoft's background and DNA is in enterprise, and we've made a business out of delivering cloud on-prem through hybrid, as well as, of course, through the Azure public cloud. And so being able to connect these two together in a fundamentally unique way so that enterprise workloads, the most demanding enterprise workloads, can run on-prem with NetApp, as well as in the public cloud with NetApp. That's what's really bringing our companies together. And then delivering that, as you point out, as a finished service from Microsoft so that the customer can go into the Microsoft Azure portal and purchase it on a pay-go basis directly from Microsoft.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
I mean, we can literally take customers from 0 to 100 terabytes in a few seconds.
Yeah.
We can change the performance tiers on the fly. We can change capacity, all on the fly. So now what you have is all of the assurance of NetApp deployed with all of the assurance of Microsoft Azure.
That's right.
So what we wanted to do was sort of tell you how fast it was, and then we're going to have a customer tell you how fast and how amazingly simple it was. We are seeing unbelievable speeds on this environment. We are literally, you know, integrated at the top of rack, and we're running high-performance servers that connect directly into Azure Compute Services. We're running at sub-1 millisecond latencies, faster in many cases than we see on-premise. So this opens up some of the world's biggest applications to Microsoft Azure. SAP HANA, Oracle databases, MySQL, a ton of Unix-based workloads that NetApp had been successful in deploying with your help on-premise are now immediately available on the public cloud. We see very, very fast IOPS. We see IOPS on the file system faster than block services. And we see significant improvements over any other file system that's been deployed on any of the other public clouds. Together, I think Microsoft and NetApp have set really a new bar. And for me, as a person, to have the chance for my team to work so closely with yours, and the just astonishing amount of investment and innovation that Microsoft brings to the cloud has really been second to none. What I would love to do now is sort of have a customer share with you, I think, their sort of concepts and their beliefs. And so, could you please roll the McKesson video?
McKesson Corporation is a Fortune 5 company. Primary line of business is pharmaceutical distribution to 16,000 pharmacies. At McKesson, we view data-driven as saving lives because we are making sure that medication is delivered to a patient when it's needed. It's not just a package or a prescription to us, it's a patient. One of the largest things that would be disruptive to our business is the lack of reliability in our infrastructure and in our application programs that actually do all of the back-end processing to get the drugs delivered to where they need to be. The relationship with NetApp has been absolutely critical in being able to create those touch points with customers. Azure NetApp Files is a great example. The response times were just phenomenal. In some of our test cases, better than we see on-prem. The loads that we were putting on there were not insignificant. Azure NetApp Files is giving us the ability to, in parallel, be able to start doing some of that SAP HANA testing in the public cloud, which is bringing our timeline forward several years to allow us to seamlessly deliver solutions to our applications and development teams that are providing healthcare to our end patients. Where we are today is a direct result of the partnership between McKesson and NetApp. It's allowed us to deliver capabilities that we did not have in the past, and it has sent us years forward in being able to provide superior healthcare.
It really is amazing. Some of the other things that we're doing, of course, is we want to empower and enable all of you. We want to make sure that all of the skills and all of the capabilities that you have and have assumed and studied for over many years with NetApp are valuable skills now in public cloud strategy. And so not only are we working on the actual delivery of the service and innovation and engineering, but we continue to work on innovation outside of the core technology. And now, together, Microsoft and NetApp have been working on some certifications to help you guys really extend the value that you provide within your organizations as partners to many, many customers. So it's an honor to stand here with Tad. Tad, you know, I have to say, you know, Microsoft is now the most valuable company in the world.
That's what I hear.
It's a tremendous achievement, and Azure is just an amazing experience. So Tad, thank you for everything that you do.
Thanks for the partnership.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Tad. NetApp, Microsoft. It's kind of cool, really, to say that in the same sentence. So what else have we been doing? Well, one of the other things that I'm particularly enamored by is the significant adoption by the industry as a whole towards something called Kubernetes. Kubernetes was only open sourced about 2.5 years ago and now has more contributions, more companies contributing to that project than any other in the history of open source. It is, by any measure, I think, the industry standard and has become the cloud-based operating system. And we at NetApp have been strong supporters of Kubernetes. We contribute directly to the Kubernetes and Istio projects, and we ourselves play a very significant role in presenting our storage and our storage capabilities into the containers through a project, an open source initiative we call Trident. Well, why did NetApp pick Kubernetes? Well, I think the first reason was everybody else did. And so it just has become, I think, in many ways, the default choice. As everybody talks about refactoring their existing applications, building new applications with microservices, the platform to orchestrate and manage those services is clearly going to be Kubernetes, whether that's in public cloud, whether that's private cloud, whether that's on-premise. So why NetApp? Why would NetApp jump up into the Kubernetes space? Well, it turns out that the biggest problem everybody tells us they have with the containers are storage. The biggest problem that Kubernetes has today is when people want to build stateful applications. As the containers themselves often fail, today, without Trident, without persistent volume claims, so does the data. So building database applications, building other kinds of stateful applications has been a real challenge. And NetApp set out and has solved that problem. So the combination of storage, Cloud Volumes, ONTAP, Cloud Volume Service, Trident made good sense for us to really bring together some technologies to go up into that next layer and provide these site reliability engineers and IT people with a strong control plane that would essentially enable them to deploy, manage, maintain, upgrade, and sometimes retire applications. A full application lifecycle management based on upstream industry standard Kubernetes. And the NetApp Kubernetes service is just that. It's the combination of infrastructure orchestration and application orchestration. It combines Trident, our storage driver for persistent volume claims for stateful applications, and of course, all of our storage and rich data services. It's available today. It's a service. There's nothing to install. There's nothing to upgrade. There's nothing for you to do except for deploy clusters and applications and services into your environments. Today, NKS supports all of the big popular public clouds, whether you're deploying directly onto the cloud or using one of the cloud's managed services. And what was really important to us, and we said it yesterday, was NetApp's HCI has all of the properties of a public cloud, but is deployed within an organization's four walls. And we felt that that control plane could easily operate across private cloud environments. So we're extending our Kubernetes service to allow you to deploy all of your applications and workloads on Kubernetes just as easily to NetApp HCI as you would to any public cloud. So how does it work? Well, like all of our services, you log into Cloud Central. You see a set of clusters that are running in the public clouds. You can see that we've recently enabled all of the GPUs that have gone into the public clouds if you want to do any machine learning, artificial intelligence. And it's really, really easy. You can, of course, do all of this through an API, but it doesn't make for much of a great demo. So I thought I'd show you the UI. I can now browse all of the public clouds, the managed services, or directly, including NetApp HCI. And in this case, once I've chosen my provider, Microsoft, I configure my provider. I again can activate the GPU support that I want to get access to all of that fast image processing within Microsoft Azure. Once I've enabled the GPUs, I authenticate myself into the service with my account details and SSH keys. And now I come in and simply start to configure my cluster. I can deploy versions of Kubernetes, always upstream. We're always current within about 4 days. And in the library, I can pick incremental services to deploy within my cluster. And of course, what I want to deploy with my cluster is Azure NetApp Files, a high-performing file system with Trident to enable my applications to run in stateful configurations. So I simply select the Azure NetApp Files configuration. It goes into the configuration of the cluster. I can then basically add other solutions to the cluster. And of course, in this case, what I want to try and do is go into NetApp's Trusted Charts repository and deploy an application that would make use of those GPUs, that would make use of that high-performing file system for machine learning. So I get to pick TensorFlow. Now, when I select TensorFlow, I can change the configuration if I want to, or I can deploy with a standard configuration. Now, what's nice about the NetApp Kubernetes service is we're thinking for you. So we put into the service all the validation logic, all the dependencies for all the different services, so you don't make mistakes when you're deploying services into the cluster. In this case, I have to pick the proxy service to include within the service. And once I'm comfortable, I can submit that. Now, I'm submitting those instructions directly into my account to build the cluster in my account. This is not a proprietary cluster. We don't mandate or control the cluster. We manage it for you. But the cluster is a pure upstream Kubernetes cluster running in your environment. Now, while that one builds, I have one I prepared earlier. And I can go in here and I have full control over the cluster. I can change and it can enhance master nodes as well as worker nodes. I can see all the deployments that are running within my different environments. And I can basically see that right there I've got TensorFlow running within the environment. Now, as I scroll down, of course, what I want to be able to do is see, not only that the application is stable, but all of my Azure NetApp files have been deployed on the various protocols with all the performance levels that I would want to operate either a high performance compute load that I may run at the extreme condition service level and then ramp it down. So NetApp Kubernetes Service really does provide, I think, the industry's first multi-cloud Kubernetes control plane. What's great about our services is they scale down. You can deploy the NetApp Kubernetes service as one person. You can deploy it to thousands of people, but all of our services are available to one individual, to one cluster. We really believe with NKS, the customers, you guys, as you innovate, as you transform, you don't want to take your best engineers off the development to manage the Kubernetes environments. You don't want to pull them off releases when you want to upgrade the cluster. NKS can take care of all of that for you. You can all go and try and use NKS for free. It's a service that's available today at Cloud Central at cloud.netapp.com. So the last piece of my presentation really is to sort of inform you of something else we made generally available just a month ago. And to do that, I'd like to welcome James Holden to the stage. James?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So, Cloud Insights, our newest SaaS offering. It allows you to monitor all your infrastructure in the cloud and on your on-premises devices too. It allows you to troubleshoot, allows you to monitor, find issues, and optimize the cost. So here you can see we're discovering the entire NetApp portfolio. You can see all the different devices we monitor. You can see the all-flash FAS, the NetApp hyper-converged infrastructure, and Azure NetApp files. So monitoring NetApp is really easy. But so is monitoring those third-party devices too. Here you can see we've got all the public cloud support and some of the other people's products. So once the data is flowing into the system, we have a wealth of different dashboards that really help you answer key use cases that any operations person wants to understand. Here is an example dashboard for the hyper-converged infrastructure and the Kubernetes from earlier. We're looking at the key signals that any operations person wants to understand, where there's latency, where you've reached a saturation point, where there's increases of traffic. So let's imagine there's an issue with just one of these VMs. The major advantage Cloud Insights has over every other monitoring tool is our ability to build a model of how the device actually interacts with the infrastructure. So here we represent it as a virtual machine connected all the way through the storage as a topology. And what we can do is then zoom down into all the key metrics, the latency, the I/O, the CPU, the memory utilization. And you can compare that to other components in the stack. So if you imagine trying to do this with just device managers alone, it's going to take you hours. With Cloud Insights, it's a simple operation to just investigate those issues. So finding issues is really easy. But we can also find great opportunities to save money in your infrastructure. And here's an example dashboard. What we've got is all the virtual machines that are actually powered off, but actually still consuming capacity. Now, we can break this down. We can look at it at the different environments. We can see how there's opportunities to drill into even more cost savings and save the organization money. Now, if you want to kind of investigate and look at how Cloud Insights can help in your environment, well, it's all available at Cloud Central. Just go to cloud.netapp.com and you can register for a free trial. So hopefully you can understand there's full infrastructure visibility to avoid any failures in your environment. This product is deployed in minutes. It's available today and you can register for a trial now.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
So James, you know, this is just another SaaS product. It's continuously evolving. The teams push new functionality out to the service every day.
Every day.
And so what should customers expect in the next few months?
So tons more features. Kubernetes support, NetApp Kubernetes Service is going to be in there. The list is endless. Data warehouses, anomaly detection engines. We've got it all coming. It's an exciting time to be in the Cloud Insights group.
Great. Thanks very much, James.
Forget about it, Annie. Thank you.
So, I hope in my brief time up here on stage, you've got an understanding of just how excited we are. Our Cloud Volume Service is being rolled out in all of the major clouds and can, for the first time, take very, very significant workloads. Cloud Volume Service in combination with NKS creates an industry's first SaaS-based application lifecycle management solution. You heard yesterday from the folks at Wuxi that Cloud Volume Service runs the largest genome sequencing database in the world. All available as a service, all available from NetApp. We are, as was said yesterday in my presentation, part of a significant investment not only to provide best-in-class solutions, but to integrate those solutions together within the data fabric. And we'd love to show you more. We appreciate you all coming to this event. It's a wonderful honor for me to get to stand up here and represent an excellent team. So with that, I thank you all very much.
Wow, what a lineup that was. Anthony just showed us what consumers are expecting from their own IT organizations, and they are under pressure to deliver the same ease of experience and self-service consumption that the public cloud offers. But what if you could really have on-prem IT services that give you access to the same innovation on the public cloud? Well, as we're about to hear, NetApp HCI is setting the bar for hybrid cloud. Its focus is to be a hybrid, multi-cloud experience that delivers innovation in an instant. Our next presenter has all the details for you. Please welcome NetApp Senior Vice President and GM of the Cloud Infrastructure Business Unit, Brad Anderson.
Thank you, Kate. Welcome. Oh, man, I thought this is Europe, the home of the best football fans on the planet. So welcome. Woo. I'm Brad Anderson. I run the cloud infrastructure business. This is my first Insight in Europe. It has been an incredible week for me personally and for my team. And I hope it has been for you as well. You just heard from Anthony live again. about all the innovation we're doing in cloud. Pretty amazing, don't you agree? Yeah. Who wouldn't want to have all that innovation on-prem as well? I'm betting your users would. I'm also betting that these are not the kind of comments your IT divisions hear very often. The reality is that cloud sets the bar very high. These are the expectations of users today. These are your customers' expectations. They want the same services and experiences from enterprise IT that they get from the biggest clouds and service providers. That's why I'm here. That's why NetApp formed the cloud infrastructure business to help customers build their own clouds to accelerate the delivery of new services and improved experiences. So where are we at on that? Let's go back to last year's Insight on a stage not too different than this in Berlin, where we made a number of bold promises. We promised to deliver a new approach to next-gen IT, to accelerate your business. We promised to help you enable new customer touchpoints. And we promised to enable you to change the world with data. We promised, and we are delivering. 3 weeks before last year's Insight, we launched NetApp HCI. NetApp HCI delivers a next-generation approach to hybrid multi-cloud. With it, we are simplifying and accelerating customers' applications experience. And we're enabling our customers to serve their customers in new ways with new offerings, creating competitive advantage with new business models and new services. We are on a mission to empower your hybrid multi-cloud. We are taking a customer cloud-forward approach. It's not about the box. It's not about feeds and speeds. It's about the services that you can deliver just like the biggest clouds. When most people talk HCI, they mean hyper-converged infrastructure. Commodity hardware, software-defined, virtualized data center, scale out, simple deployment, simple management. We do that. NetApp HCI does exactly that and more. When we talk about HCI, I want you to think hybrid cloud infrastructure. Operate like a cloud, consume like a cloud, the same experiences and services as clouds, and access to all the innovation of the biggest clouds. That is our mission for NetApp HCI, to empower your hybrid multi-cloud experience. We will lead this mission because we are focused on what enterprises need to be successful. And we are focused on service providers who are critical to enable the cloud journey for their customers. We have had the advantage of listening, observing, and learning. And much as we did in Flash, where our patient approach has led us to the #1 position worldwide in Flash this quarter. Yeah. We are on the same path for NetApp HCI. We are resolved and committed. So what does a hybrid multi-cloud experience require? For users, it requires the delivery of new applications and services faster. For IT, it means to simplify and automate operations with software-defined flexibility, frictionless consumption, self-service, access to services and microservices, seamless connectivity to clouds, and pay-as-you-grow. For IT, it's software-defined flexibility. It's to simplify and automate IT operations. Software-defined flexibility, simple management and deployment, programmability, automation, elasticity to allow compute, storage, user access independently as demand dictates, performance and scale, and a platform for service delivery. Last year, this was a promise. This year, hundreds of customers across Europe, Middle East, and Africa are experiencing the benefits of hybrid multi-cloud. From a large service provider with operations in London, who can now offer HCI as a service and deliver services to their customers faster with a business model that was not possible with other vendor equipment. To a large Nordic telecom and media company who's continuously running high-performance business analytics to inform and identify customer opportunities. To the largest UK home energy supplier who needed a flexible cloud-like environment to support and scale a new joint venture in the North Seas. And to a healthcare provider who needs all the innovation of multiple clouds to enable better patient outcomes. Rather than myself tell you these stories, let's hear from a customer directly. Coca-Cola Central Bottling is Israel's largest beverage provider and second largest dairy producer. They manufacture Coca-Cola branded soft drink products and a wide range of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, delivering a high-quality product to tens of thousands of retailers across Israel. CIO Adit Schroitman joins us today to talk about the challenges Coca-Cola Central Bottling has growing in a constantly expanding, ever-changing, highly competitive beverage market. It is with great pleasure that I welcome Adit Schroitman to the stage. Woo! Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Well, good afternoon, or good morning. I'm Adit Schroitman, and I'm the CIO of the Central Bottling Group, as also known as Coca-Cola Israel, for the last 7 years. I started my computer career in the Army, where I served 10 years, and then I moved to integration companies. 7 years before, I decided to cross the line, and I moved to be a customer in Coca-Cola Israel. And then my life was changed. It's better to be a customer than a vendor. Everyone, started run after me. So Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola Israel, we are a private company established in 1968, and we have 8 companies in Israel and 4 outside Israel. Many good brands that you can see on the slides. We have Coca-Cola and all the brands of Coca-Cola, Carlsberg, Tuborg. We have mineral water company, juice, winery, and a dairy company. And we have one sales and distribution company that sells all the products of the company. Some numbers on the Israeli. We are reaching the largest sales points in Israel. We are the biggest one, and more than 26,000 sales points. In Israel, we just 5,500 people, but all over the world, we are more than 8,000 people. We have 6 plants from the north. In the north, we have the mineral water plants, and in the south, we have the dairy plants. And can you see all the others? Numbers. Then the business challenge. The primary business challenge of every business company, it's a profit, increase revenue, and reduce cost, each business company. And we need to be competitive all the time. And in order to be competitive, we need to develop new products, we need to do innovation, new technology. And we understood that in order to be competitive, we need to move from a B2B company to a B2C company. We need a direct connection to our consumers. The digital life, we can do personalized marketing to our consumers. The data became a big asset today. Another thing, we need to adopt a new market channel. A new market channel, you know, in Israel, what we have done, we closed an agreement with Get Taxi that each passenger that can order a taxi can order a can of Coca-Cola, a cold one that will wait for him in the cab. Yeah. And again, we need to respond quickly to market changes. You know, the digital day, it's very, very dangerous. In a minute, everything running on the networks. You know, in 2014 in Israel, we had a protest. It's called the cottage cheese protest. Many young people, you know, running the networks, don't buy any more dairy products because they want to reduce the product prices. And they succeed. All of us, include us, need to reduce the prices of the dairy products. And since then, for the last 5 years, we can't raise the prices because we were afraid from the, you know, from the crowd. And we need to be more efficient because the raw materials prices increased. So more efficient, you know, we need to reduce cost. And just the last month, this is the first time we raised the prices of the products. Another challenge of, you know, for us as a food and beverage is regulation. Every couple of years, we have a new regulation. We have a purchase tax in 2012. We need to change pricing. We need to change InfoSys, you know, and it's immediately. And after that, we have the low food, what is called low food in Israel. And the low food, we need to change agreement with our customers because we cannot allow anymore to give agreements to our retailers that influence directly to the consumers. It's finished. We can give just discount agreement to the retailers. We don't know what they are doing with it. Giving it to the consumer, yes or not, we cannot influence anymore. And another one from 2020, you know, the else, now it's trendy. We need to mark in red all the products that have some fat or sugar more than a certain percentage. And the else, it's very, very challenging today. So we need to develop product without sugar, with less sugar, without preservative. We are the first dairy company that produce dairy product without preservative. But still, it's a challenge, you know, to produce without compromising the taste and the quality of the food. The IT challenge, of course, is helping the business be competitive. And being competitive and helping in the digital transformation, what it's called. We need to be enabler of the phrases, you know, everything, everywhere, all the time. That's what our consumer wants, our customer wants, our employee wants, everyone, everybody wants in this area, in today. So what we've done in IT, 5 years ago, we pushed the CEO of the sales company, the sales and distribution, to develop an application for our retailers. So he didn't want it. He said, why? One-on-one sales meeting is the best relationship, is the best sales. But we push him, and still we succeed to convince him. Today, we are looking at this application that our retailers have. It's increased sales. It's increased sales because they can order whatever they like, at what time they like, at the end of the week, at night, at the middle of the night. And it was very, very successful. Another thing that we push to develop all the data that the sales rep wants on the tablets, all the data, include their mails on the tablets. So they don't come anymore to the offices. We saved fuel, we saved electricity, and they have more time to sell. Another challenge of us is the data, you know, is the big asset. We have now a lot of data to deal with lots of data. So we have also the million transaction of the consumers for the customers. And now we are trying and look for a solution in the cloud, keeping the data in the cloud, but we need to keep it safe. And just the insight from this data to bring on-prem. So we are now dealing with this issue. And of course, one main challenge is the cybersecurity. But it's cybersecurity, it's a lot of stories, but you know. So NetApp is us. We are 16 years friendship. We choose NetApp as our storage system when we implemented SAP in 2002 in Coca-Cola. We were just one company, Coca-Cola. Today, we are 8 companies, 1.7 petabytes data. And since then, we are going hand in hand all over the years, supported by NetApp and advised by NetApp. And each year, we are doing the plan for the next year and looking our problems for the last year. And main problems we have the last 2 years, it was performance issue. So we checked and we understood that we need to move for the new technology of hyperconverged, HCI. We started to do POC with other vendors. And 1 year ago, NetApp came with their HCI and we checked it. Our people go to check it in the NetApp labs and they say, listen, they came back to me and say, listen, that's what we need. I have a decision in minutes. Thank you. So we implemented in 2 sites, the big, that we have a performance issue in the Terra Dairy company and in the DMZ area. And since then, we didn't hear any more about performance issue. It's easy to manage. It can scale out. It's a big benefit. Scale out compute or storage without disruption to the organization. And also, it's really small footprint. The hardware footprint and the electricity reduced in 50%. And also, we reduced our license cost. So it's really a success story. So in the next future, we will check the hybrid cloud to see if we can be more efficient. So thank you, NetApp.
Thank you, Edith, for sharing the Coca-Cola Central Bottling story.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Can I ask you maybe one more question?
The last one?
Just one.
Okay.
You mentioned POCs, that you ran a number of POCs. Could you say a little bit about what NetApp HCI you're able to do on our product that you couldn't on some of the others?
Well, NetApp HCI, the first thing, it's NetApp. And we have already the system of NetApp, the storage of NetApp. So NetApp in NetApp, it's the best, because it's same integration. And some other, to take some other vendors, to put in my infrastructure, it will be more difficult, Yeah. So it's the best. Performance guaranteed, it's the best.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
I think you heard superior customer experience and new business advantage. That is the power of hybrid multi-cloud. That is the power and simplicity of NetApp HCI. Yesterday, George said, speed is the new scale and simplicity is the enabler. Does everybody remember that? What George was talking about is that the innovation happening in cloud and service providers is happening at an unprecedented pace. The days of siloed approaches and month-long provisioning are over. Organizations that are digitally transforming and moving to agile, cloud-like infrastructures will win, and those who don't will be left behind. So what are we doing to help with this transformation? I'd like to give you a sneak peek of what the very near future holds. Here to talk about how we are simplifying, automating, and delivering the hybrid multi-cloud experience, my colleague and Vice President of Product Management, Brett Roscoe. Woo!
So Brad said that HCI stands for Hybrid Cloud Infrastructure because we believe that the idea that HCI is just about converging storage and compute is an old idea. We believe the future of HCI is about converging public and private cloud. As you saw in Anthony's demonstration earlier or yesterday, he demonstrated the ability to deploy cloud data services onto a local HCI solution. The power of that is that the local HCI solution now becomes a local region to a multi-cloud environment. We are taking the innovation of cloud data services the power of the data fabric and the enterprise platform of NetApp HCI in creating a leading hybrid multi-cloud solution. It's a truly unique opportunity for us to provide common orchestration and common tools for that. So today, my goal is to provide just a short demonstration of just a small number of services that we can deploy on HCI. So we'll cover kind of this idea of the ability to use common tools and a common framework and a common orchestration with public and private cloud, making that environment seamless. We'll demonstrate the powerful tools to develop, to test, and deploy new applications. And then we'll talk about integrating data in a hybrid environment and bringing additional NetApp tools to deliver better business outcomes. So let's get started. So first, we're going to show, we're going to launch this cloud orchestrator, and we're going to create a new application. And we're going to call this new application the Fabric app. And this is a true DevOps environment. Now, I have the choice of leveraging any of the major public cloud providers. But you'll see I also have the ability to deploy within a local HCI region, here called Las Vegas. Now, just like in a public cloud environment, I can deploy to multiple regions. Within your local HCI, you can create multiple regions and multiple locales as well. So let's move on. So now that I've decided where I'm going to put that application, I can choose from a catalog any number of applications that I want to create. I can create custom applications. I can use Helm charts. I can use any number of flexible solutions to develop new applications. Here, I've just picked my version, and notice that application is now launching within seconds. Now, I did nothing with infrastructure. I did not do anything with servers. I did nothing with compute. All of that was automated and happened in the background. So if we review that real quick, right? So we really quickly showed that we can deploy in either a public cloud and a private cloud with common tools. We showed that we can quickly deploy a new application within seconds. But the big thing we did was free up time, right? Free up time so that you have more time to do what you do best, to innovate and to develop. Because that's what IT wants to be able to do. Now, that's just part of it. So now we can leverage new tools. We can leverage the NetApp portfolio to go do additional operations. Because the HCI is very automated, but it's also a very enterprise platform. So let me give you one example of that. So in my last demonstration, we created a new application. And because of our Trident plugin, we had an automated way to create persistent data and volumes behind that application. And now we're going to snap mirror that volume. Now we can choose any number of targets to snap mirror. We can choose another HCI solution. We could choose any ONTAP solution, a FAS AFF system. In this example, we're actually going to mirror this to a FlexPod solution. But I also could choose Cloud Volumes ONTAP. And now I could take advantage of additional services and capabilities in the public cloud. Now, why would I do this? Well, there's any number of reasons you'd want to create a copy of this data. Mostly because you may have other resources in other departments that can apply additional tools to this, like AI, machine learning, additional data science applications that can leverage and derive value from that data. This new application maybe created a new data set that may be very important to my business. I want to leverage that, right? Data is the lifeblood of an organization, and I want to use it to drive business decisions, and I want to use it to drive business outcomes. Or I may have just wanted to create a DR copy. Maybe I just wanted another level of protection for my new application. But the point is that all of this happened non-disruptively, right? We are built, HCI is built on the DNA of SolidFire, which provides guaranteed quality of service and guaranteed performance. That means that my DevOps environment, where I'm designing and deploying new applications, my data fabric environment, where I'm leveraging data and letting data drive new business outcomes, is all happening without disrupting my production environment. So that is a really, really cool way to provide a seamless multi-cloud experience for developers. Now, to finish, I want to reiterate our mission. And our mission is very clear. We want to blur the lines between private and public cloud. We want to simplify the ongoing complexity that is created by most hybrid environments today. And by taking an integrated approach with our cloud data services and with our data fabric, we are creating a seamless hybrid multi-cloud experience. We demonstrated the ability to quickly deploy and develop a new application, and then we demonstrated the ability to bring the NetApp portfolio into that equation and derive new value from that data. No one else can do what we're doing. Others talk about cloud, and they name vague solutions along similar names as ours. They cannot come close to matching our capabilities. And with that, I want to thank you. And if you have any questions on HCI, please come by Insight Central and visit our booth. And with that, I want to bring Brad Anderson back on stage.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
I think you can see we are delivering much more than hyper-converged infrastructure. The combination of what Anthony walked through yesterday and today, and what Brett just showed, seamlessly integrated by the NetApp data fabric, empowers the complete hybrid multi-cloud experience. No one else can deliver this seamless experience. The same services on-prem as in cloud, the experience your customers expect. So next year when we get together again, those comments I showed at the beginning, make them be all about you and your hybrid multi-cloud experience on NetApp HCI. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the conference.
Wow, so much information, and we're ripping straight on with it now. Bringing data center up to speed is essential if you want to tap into the power of ML and AI. Legacy systems just don't have the capabilities. You need the platform and the power to match today's demanding applications. With connectivity to the cloud services, you need to unleash the power of your data. Well, NetApp has new ways to modernize your IT architecture using cloud-connected flash. Our next presenter tells us more. Please welcome Executive Vice President, Products and Operations, Joel Risch.
Good morning. Thank you, Kate. Hey, let's get going. I remember the first time I saw this slide. Some people thought it was crazy. They thought it was crazy because it looked like we were advocating the very thing that would kill us fastest, encouraging our customers to move to the cloud. I heard somebody say, "What genius came up with this idea?" Now, that person who said this was obviously wrong. Since then, we've repositioned NetApp around the data fabric, telling a distinct story to inspire with innovation and lead with the cloud. To build clouds to accelerate new services in a hybrid and multi-cloud environment. And to modernize IT architectures with cloud-connected flash. Now, digital transformation's the driving force. But digital transformation requires IT transformation. And those who succeed at the modernization of IT, they will be the voice that stands out in the crowd. But digital transformation costs real money. Economic reality is driving customers to save money by simplifying and automating their data centers, and by taking people and dollars and moving them to things that create real business value. But those who are modernizing with flash are using the money that they save to fund new business capability. They're taking advantage of new workloads and new capabilities to fundamentally change the way they do business. Because the money saved by modernizing with flash is funding new workloads in the enterprise. And these new workloads, like artificial intelligence and machine learning, they're becoming the new revenue-driving mission-critical apps because they're enabling new ways of doing business and new capabilities to fundamentally change the way they do business. Now, the value and benefits of Flash are clear. I mean, pretty much everyone knows this. If you're in this room, you know it. Performance is the most obvious one. Flash gives you speed, 20 times the performance of a hard disk, and 12 times the application IOPS performance. But there are other benefits of Flash you don't really think of, things that we've seen from how our customers are using our products. Things like a 15% reduction in power and cooling costs, a 37% reduction in storage footprint, 70% space savings with data reduction technologies, and 67% reduction of support calls and cases. That's the heart of the value of simplification. Now, these are all important benefits as you modernize your organization to Flash, but the most important ability of Flash is its ability to simplify your IT. So Flash alone is great. It's the value added by NetApp that really makes us unique. And that uniqueness must be paying off. The crazy strategy I first spoke about in the beginning, it can't be too crazy. It made us #1 in the all-flash array market as measured by IDC. We are even #1 in Japan, where we accomplished an almost impossible task by surpassing Hitachi Data Systems. And that's given us a distinctive voice among the crowd. And we're also growing faster than the crowd, faster than Dell, Hitachi, IBM, and HPE. 27.9% in the year-over-year growth in the last quarter reported by IDC. And the EMEA region, Europe, continues to play a large part in our momentum to be #1. Here's a long list. It's a great long list. We're #1 in Germany, the United Kingdom, France, Austria, Switzerland, Denmark, Finland, Netherlands, Russia, Spain, Italy, and Israel. That's a great performance. And we're continuing to gain market share in many more countries in this important region. So all I can say is thank you. Thank you to you, our customers, who believed in us, who listened through the noise of the market. And thank you to our partners who see us as a strategic partner that they can build our business upon. Your success is our success. Please give yourself a round of applause. Okay. So at this point, you must think I'm up here tooting our horn. And you'd be right. In fact, when I was young, I tried to be a horn player. That's me in high school. Now, I was pretty good, but I had a teacher who told me I wasn't really good enough. But I tried really hard, and no matter how hard I tried, I never got to be great. But I love jazz, especially trumpet players. But one always stood out to me, and that was Louis Armstrong. So he grew up in really difficult conditions in New Orleans, Louisiana. In fact, the neighborhood that he grew up in, the official name was the Battlefield. It's a tough neighborhood. But he worked, and he worked really hard, and he was lucky enough that at the age of 7, a family that adopted him off the street loaned him the money for his first trumpet. And he mastered that like no one else did. But his voice is what makes him stand out. If you listen to a recording that was made 50 years ago today, in 5 seconds, you know it's Louis Armstrong. And that was innovation, right? And he was an innovator for 50 years. And the same is true for NetApp, right? We now have a distinctive voice. We innovated in multiple areas and combined them to give us a unique technology offering, an offering that led us to unprecedented success in the cloud and in flash. We took flash and we made it powerful, trusted, and most importantly, smart. Our power comes from being the industry's first and only NVMe system inside and out. Our all-flash FAS support of NVMe over fabrics delivers 60% more IOPS with half the latency. And this leads to best-in-class performance and scalability. We're trusted by meeting the strictest SLAs with a full suite of integrated and application-consistent data protection and compliance solutions. This is coupled with seamless and efficiency-optimized synchronous replication. You can get 0 data loss protection for an entire system or for selected critical data, whichever best meets your needs. And lastly, we've made our flash solutions smart. We took flash and made it cloud connected, future-proofing your organization as it evolves. Our AFF solutions are designed for the cloud era to connect to more clouds in more ways than anybody else, all while constantly monitoring and optimizing your storage for maximum efficiencies. And that's all done with our predictive AI-driven analytics called NetApp Active IQ. NetApp Flash is best in class. It's distinctive in performance, features, efficiency, and scalability. The ability to support your mission-critical apps of today and new workloads like AI, Apache Spark, and even Hadoop, all on a common platform. And by being cloud connected, NetApp provides a pathway for the customer who wants to leverage the cloud today or in the future. As you saw, that forward-looking strategy has enabled us to become #1 in the worldwide AFA market. And this is only the beginning of our continuing innovation. As you've seen, we've been busy innovating to make your data work for you, to make you data-driven. And one of our customers who's been taking advantage of NetApp solutions for a while is Atos. They've been a unique voice in the industry for a long time. Now I'd like to ask Senior Vice President and Group Head of Strategic Initiatives, Nordine Bamani, to join me on stage. Nordine. Welcome. Thank you. So it's great to have you here at Insight with us.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you. I'm happy as well.
Okay. So as a NetApp customer, so tell us a little bit about Atos and why Atos chose NetApp.
So Atos is a global service provider, and we are delivering services with approximately 120,000 employees across the globe, helping solving business issues of our customer, like in healthcare world, in reducing the time to market to develop new drugs, or manufacturing in leveraging our predictive maintenance platform to help them reducing downtime. And maybe the last one is the Olympic Games. We started supporting the Olympic Games in 1992 here in Barcelona, and we are still their provider for the next 5 years and protecting them of all the cyber threat that you could imagine here. Yeah?
That's great. Okay.
Why NetApp? Yes, it's okay. Why NetApp? I'm getting there. Why NetApp? I think, let me maybe just start with a small story. 20 years ago, I got a fabulous wow effect when I finally put in place my snapshot in a metro cluster in Paris. That was magic. And here the relationship started. But why NetApp? Technology. I think technology has been always a reliable solution, proven solution. If I think about now cloud volumes, okay. If I think about OCI, it's making a fabulous impact. Secondly, I will say our vision, or your vision. Mm-hmm. I have seen in the last 4 years, and maybe driven by the data-driven push that George put to the company, I have seen our portfolio coming together. Our main challenges today with our customer is really to help them fixing their data management issue in that new world. And maybe third, which is always critical in our world, it's the savings or the ROI. And here, I will say, NetApp has been shifting and bringing more and more solutions to the right price point in the market.
Okay, so we're really happy you selected NetApp. It's been a great partnership over many years, but you had an early experience with NetApp, right? A personal experience?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So I will say, recently we are shifting providers, shifting partners, and as you know, Joel, it's directly impacting you.
Right.
We have selected you as our all-flash, full-arrays partners, yeah?
Thank you, yes.
So now you are here. You need to tap into that. So we shifted to you guys because today our solution, the data management, or I will say the data fabric, is becoming key. It's becoming a key issue to expose the data from the various platforms of our customer, connected them, and thanks to that, NetApp is the right partner for us in front of our customer to solve that critical business issue.
Well, we're really happy that the partnership has expanded after all these years. So how is Atos going to use the advantage that NetApp gives them to be data-driven?
I think definitively when I think at the challenges we have in connecting all the data from the edge to the core to the cloud, leveraging your portfolio, leveraging the new services that you bring in, helping also our DevOps, with the Kubernetes services, for example, bringing all of that together will be critical. As you know, the humanity is creating more every 18 months than they have never created before. So this is becoming key. This is becoming key for us, key for you, and key for our customer that we bring that right level of integration.
Okay. So that's great. Thank you for sharing with us the update, the exciting trajectory that our business is on. We have some really great examples of how NetApp can scale your business to new heights. Now, I'll say if a company like Atos can benefit, the history, rich history that you have, imagine what other people could do with these tools as they adopt them.
Indeed.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, indeed.
Yes.
Maybe just one last word in that relationship. One dimension which is really critical. It's the trust. The trust goes through the people. So I would like to thank my NetApp team, starting with Rob, Pierre, Henry, and Mark, which have been supporting us
very nice.
along the range this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuri.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. I have another guest. Now I'd like to bring on Kim Weller. She's another distinctive voice. So she's going to demonstrate the future of ONTAP and also some of the newer technologies that are going to drive NetApp Flash to even greater heights. Kim. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you. Joel, we joined NetApp the same summer, 16 years ago.
That was a sweet 16.
Yeah, it was. I can honestly say I'm as excited to be here as ever.
Right.
I know the next 16 years will be filled with innovation like the last. That gets me to the early retirement, by the way.
That'll be even a sweeter 16,
I'm
right?
counting on you.
Okay.
Clearly, our customers are embracing cloud-connected flash to modernize their data centers, but we know that is not enough to enable digital transformation. In the future, most data will be generated at the edge. Most data will be processed in the cloud. And that's why George talked about the need to move from a data center to a data fabric. So for the next few minutes, I want you to think about this data fabric. It's happening. About this data fabric more as a data pipeline. So this pipeline stretches from edge to core to cloud and back again, and it allows us to put data where we need it and to leverage multiple clouds. Would you like to see this in action?
Yeah, can I help with the demo?
You can. In fact, I've made it very easy with this checklist. And you're a pretty experienced manager, right?
I could manage a checklist as a manager. I don't know if I could manage a handheld and click at the same time. But,
okay. Okay, so we'll see how we can automatically We'll see how we can automatically tier data to the cloud and back, how we can efficiently distribute it globally for real-time access, and then better protect it both on-prem and in the cloud while leveraging that data for business value. So let's go.
Great.
Data can enter our pipeline from anywhere. In the last demo, you saw Brett Roscoe initialize a SnapMirror transfer from a NetApp hybrid cloud infrastructure to load some TensorFlow data onto our ONTAP system so that we can do some machine learning. But we know that the Internet of Things is ubiquitous. So what do we do with all of that data on the edge? How can NetApp help?
Speaking of edgy, here's Octavian Tanase, Senior Vice President of ONTAP.
Octavian?
What you got for us?
What's on your back?
Well, I'm carrying a mobile data center. It's running ONTAP Select, commercially known as software-defined ONTAP or ONTAP Select.
Yeah.
I provisioned a data lake. The data lake is enabling me to capture analytics, run in-place analytics on the data center. And should you guys want to learn more on how ONTAP can help you with your data challenge at the edge, there is a session right after lunch, room C2. It's a spotlight. It's the place to be. All right?
Octavian. So you're kind of like a drone, Octavian. Or
like a drone,
yeah.
maybe a little bit slower.
Okay.
All right.
Go gather some data, please.
Okay, will do.
Thanks, Octavian. You know, we've recently done a project to integrate the MQTT protocol, you might also know it as SCADA, to ONTAP Select. And this is just a lightweight messaging protocol that's very suitable for devices connected at the edge. So this allows you to bring things like temperature or light or maybe fire and smoke into the data fabric to understand what's going on. So that might not sound very interesting, but consider, for example, a Ducati racing around a track collecting 60 metrics as it drives, or a connected factory monitoring a lot of different equipment to do predictive analytics. There's a lot of ways that we can use this technology. We also see a lot of video and photos on the edge. In fact, at a recent conference, we had a similar ONTAP mobile data center on a military Humvee. That's a military vehicle that goes into battle. And they were actually collecting videos and photos from the audience and using AWS Lambda, uploading them to the cloud to identify individuals and send that data back with a degree of accuracy to the people who were running this application. And there are real-world applications for that. But data fabric means multi-cloud. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to upload a picture of Joel from Last Insight into Google Vision to see what kind of information we could get. And we see here that Joel has pretty amazing stage presence, yeah? And you sort of look like the CNN commentator Wolf Blitzer.
Another distinguished guy with gray hair.
Yeah, or what's his name in German?
Wolf Blitzer?
Wolf Blitzer. Okay, so far we've covered ingest from the edge, we've replicated from our hybrid cloud infrastructure, and we're also amassing a lot of data now in our data fabric. So what can we do with that?
Let's see the demo.
Yeah, let's see how we non-disruptively move this to the public cloud. So you saw yesterday and today Anthony and Brett Roscoe demonstrating services from our cloud portal. So we're back in that cloud portal, and we're actually just going to take a look at our assets that have joined the data fabric. And by the way, those can be physical, software-defined, they can be in the cloud. And the data fabric is smart, so it's telling me here that I have 420 terabytes of data that's inactive or cold that really shouldn't be in my data centers. So I can very quickly navigate to those assets, and I can determine whether I want to move that data, whether it's in the active file system or the snapshot, to a object bucket, whether it's in the cloud or on-prem. We'll let this catch up for a second. And we have the choice, by the way, of selecting from our major hyperscalers. You'll see those here coming up in just 1 second. Or from our NetApp private cloud storage grid. Okay, so I can just pick my region here. You'll also notice that I'll get some information. By the way, if you want NetApp to manage this, you can actually use NetApp's bucket in the cloud, and you give us your key for confidentiality. So we give you a lot of flexibility there. On our summary screen, you can actually see we're giving you a dollar amount that we think we're going to save for you by moving this to the cloud.
That's real dollars.
That's real dollars. So in that amount of time, we've identified a significant amount of data to move. We've initiated the process. We've furthered our CIO's cloud directives. We've freed up a bunch of data, a bunch of space on our production environment, and we've told our CIO how much money we've saved. So that is the data fabric in action in reality.
Great.
Okay. So increasingly, we also know that you have customers like data scientists, lines of business, developers, and they want their data when they want it and where they want it. So we're pleased to announce that with ONTAP 9.5, we've reintroduced Flex Cache, which allows you to put sparse copies at the edge or in the data center and ultimately in the cloud. In fact, I can even send copies down to Octavian, who is wandering around on Las Ramblas. And we could, we probably can't, but if we did, we could have pictures where we could identify who's skipping out on the session. So we're really excited about that. Also, by the way, data protection is a really key part of the data fabric services. And so in ONTAP 9.5, we've also introduced synchronous snap mirror. And you'll see here we've made it very easy. There's just a simple slider bar where you can tell us what you want your recovery point objective to be. We can also determine what happens if we have a network outage, and then suddenly now I can meet those requirements for my business. So thanks for all of that work, Joel. Okay, finally, we're really excited about the NetApp Data Availability Service. So many of the organizations in the audience probably have NetApp systems that are replicating between each other, your primary and your secondary. This allows us to augment that setup with a third copy to the cloud. We can do a couple of things. First, we have a very intuitive Google-like interface where you can search for data and recover data back on-prem. But what's really exciting to me is that we're building the framework so that you can access that data, which again is in an object bucket, through different services in the cloud. And in fact, if you'd like to go to Cloud Central, out to one of the booths, I think it's booth 31 or 32, you can see an example of how we're doing this with Amazon EMR. Pretty cool, yeah?
It is.
Okay, so that's the data fabric in action.
All right. So we completed the checklist already. We've seen how you can ingest data at the edge or from a private cloud. We could tier data to the cloud. We could distribute that data to users who need it and protect your data in the cloud while hinting at some of what's in store to leverage that cloud-based copy.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So I want to really thank you for being here. You've really brought a unique voice to the stage in Las Vegas and here.
Thank you.
And I really think we understand your unique voice.
Thank you. Well, that's only the beginning, Joel.
Mm-hmm.
We've got more to talk about and how we're going to build on the NetApp Flash that you have today.
Okay. So have you seen NetApp Flash solutions are remarkable by themselves. But there's more to your investment in NetApp. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got some problem here with our slides. Okay. Yes, it's a platform you could build upon. You can get even faster decisions than what's possible today. How do you get better intelligence from the data you're storing? We think you can. So let's talk about our first initiative, faster decisions from your data. Right, so a product that's going to accelerate your data-driven organization to even faster decisions, that product is Max Data. Now, Max Data gives you speed. It makes everything faster. In fact, it's game-changing. So we're happy to be collaborating with Intel, the makers of Optane persistent memory technology. So this revolutionary memory technology is going to change everything. Max Data is going to open up capabilities that will make your organization stand out and will change the way your data center looks. With Intel's Optane and Max Data, we're going to accelerate you being data-driven.
It's mind-blowing what you can do, I think, Joel.
Yeah. So how fast is your data with Max Data?
How fast is it?
How fast is it? It's fast. In a recent performance test against a MongoDB system, we saw an 11 times performance increase with Max Data versus a system without it. Now imagine your data with Max Data. Imagine what you could do for your users.
Yeah, it is mind-blowing what you can do.
Yeah. So Max Data makes everything faster. It solves your needs for ultra-low latency, faster recovery of databases, ability to support huge data sets, and most importantly, and to me the most exciting thing, no application rewrites to use it immediately. And in the future, we're going to make your legacy storage, your legacy hardware even faster. And Max Data is flexible. It works on-premise, and in the future, it's going to work in the cloud. Right. Now we're going to look at how you'd install and use Max Data in your organization. Kim, can you show us a quick demo?
Yes,
okay.
I can. So, to be fair, we're going to do this demo in the spirit of Max Data, very fast.
Okay.
But I want to set it up first. So Max Data is an application server resident software that allows you to create a file system that spans persistent memory on the server, so that could be NVDIMS or Optane, and your external flash, in this case it's NetApp, so that you can host environments that are much larger than you might be able to host on your persistent memory, but still get the performance that you need and the capabilities that we give you with the data fabric. Okay, let's go into the demo. I'm logging into my Red Hat application server. You'll actually see here some existing file systems. It's a pretty simple process. The first thing that I have to do is configure my NetApp environment. So that's my ONTAP system and the storage virtual machine into which I want to place that data. I have an option to replicate my host-based persistent memory to another server for recovery in the event that I lose my server. Okay, and so we can do that's a 1-to-4 mapping. And then you'll see here that I'm just going to add all of the servers that I want to manage with my Max Data console. Straightforward, put in IP addresses and passwords. And then the next step, which is pretty exciting, is how do we configure applications? And so you'll see here that I can deploy something like an Oracle or a MongoDB. I simply have to specify how much of that server persistent memory I want to use. We'll automatically create the back-end storage for you that's part of that Max Data file system. And then you'll also see that you can specify snapshot schedules so that we can get consistent backups and consistent recovery of this entire data that spans the host and the storage. One thing I want to call out here is if you have a server in your environment and you don't have persistent memory like NVDIMS or Optane today, you can actually mimic that with the DRAM in the server, so you can actually download this tomorrow and test this in your environment tomorrow.
Right. So why'd we go through all these steps?
Yeah, what's the point? Well, as we said, Max Data gives you speed.
Wait, is that decimal point in the right place?
Yes, yes it is.
It is.
We've done a number of tests, and we're seeing typically tens of microseconds of latency and oftentimes sub 10 microseconds of latency for your applications, along with the improvement in IOPS. Yeah.
Yep. Didn't you have a customer? Didn't you have a customer tell you that they didn't care how much this cost?
Yes, yes. The statement was if we could really do this and we could reduce the transaction times by that amount, it didn't matter what it would cost.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. But I want to put a challenge out to everybody in the audience. So for your industry and your lines of business and your application users, think about what they might be able to do that they could never do before for the business by implementing something like this. It's a real game changer.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kim.
You're welcome,
Right.
Joel.
I really appreciate you being out here. You see, we're continuing to innovate on this stuff. You're running away.
Oh, I'm done?
Okay, I don't blame you. So the demos you saw today are just the beginning. We're really working hard to innovate. Be sure to go to the spotlight session and the breakouts. You'll get to see a lot more detail. Kim, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, so you saw how Max Data can give you even faster access and decisions from your data. But there's more you can build upon with your Flash solutions, and that's better intelligence. That's our second initiative. We're proud to talk about our partnership with NVIDIA, the world's leader in powering change with artificial intelligence and deep learning. And NVIDIA is another distinctive voice. They stood out as having a vision to enable artificial intelligence across the enterprise, and we heard about them because they were a unique voice that stood out from the crowd. And we're partnering with them to accelerate better intelligence via artificial intelligence and the data pipeline. Our first product to come out of the partnership is ONTAP AI, much like our popular FlexPod solution for integrated compute, networking, and storage. ONTAP AI is an integrated, pre-configured, proven architecture for deep learning and machine learning. It's powered by the NVIDIA DGX-1 supercomputer and NetApp cloud-connected all-flash storage. ONTAP AI is simple to deploy. It eliminates design complexity and guesswork. So some of the use cases for artificial intelligence and machine learning, well, a really good example is healthcare. And what you get out of that is more precise diagnosis and treatment. For example, one of our customers, Cambridge Consultants, has connected many thousands of inhalers to an engine that collects environmental and patient data. And then it tailors the dosage in the inhaler to the patient in real time. Another example is cybersecurity. Artificial intelligence and machine learning can be deployed to prevent malicious attacks and enable faster recovery. These are just a couple of examples. Machine learning and artificial intelligence versus ONTAP AI is changing how everyone approaches their data and their business. NetApp ONTAP AI delivers the performance and scalability you need for your machine learning and AI efforts. You can start small. This is new technology, and grow non-disruptively. And you can intelligently manage your data from edge to core to cloud. We're really excited to be working with NVIDIA on building better ways to build better intelligence. So as you see, the investment you make in NetApp Flash is an investment you can build upon, whether it's making faster decisions with Max Data or getting better intelligence with ONTAP AI. Together with NetApp Flash, it's a winning combination. So modernizing with Flash makes new workloads possible, and customers can affordably modernize for more workloads and accelerate their digital transformation. NetApp Cloud Connected Flash is the only flash solution connected to the biggest public clouds, future-proofing your investment, all while being powerful, trusted, and smart. Max Data is our server-based data acceleration product. The speed Max Data brings will open up new capabilities for your organization, and you'll stand out making even faster, with even faster decision-making power. And ONTAP AI will bring better intelligence. It's a proven architecture developed with NVIDIA for you and your machine learning and deep learning objectives. Accelerate your artificial intelligence data pipeline across edge, core, and cloud with two of the industry's leaders and innovators. And the foundation is NetApp Cloud Connected Flash. We're the only ones able to integrate across the edge, core, and cloud of the data pipeline for storage and manageability. The only ones able to integrate persistent memory, flash, disk, and cloud all working together. And the only vendor to do so across file, block, and object protocols, whether it's the ability to support your mission-critical apps of today or new workloads like artificial intelligence, Apache Spark, and even Hadoop on a common platform. All while simplifying your deployment and operations with converged and hyper-converged solutions. That's NetApp today, a distinctive voice in the industry. Thank you. Now, you know, this whole talk has really inspired me and maybe made me reckless. In fact, it's been such a great year that I thought I would want to play my trumpet again. So, we'll give it a shot.
everybody. What an amazing talent. Although I don't think DJ Tobias has too much to worry about just yet. Right, DreamWorks, demos, Dixieland. We've seen and heard it all this morning. But as you've already heard, you can also get more details in the spotlight sessions later on today. Now, to close out our keynote, we need someone to bring it home and to do it in his own unique style. And it's a very great pleasure to introduce you to somebody who's got his eye on the business, both NetApp's business and your business. He's also incredibly passionate about it. He's always trying new things, learning and exploring. I am speaking, of course, about NetApp's founder and executive vice president. Please welcome Dave Hitz.
Hi. I have spent the last year exploring the meaning of the phrase cloud first, which obviously means I need new hobbies. Here's the thing, a lot of customers will say we're cloud first, or my CIO has a cloud first policy, but they often mean different things by it. What does it mean? And so I'd like to start by sharing a story of one customer conversation that I had, and it was a cloud first customer, which I knew because the sales guy before the meeting told me these guys are cloud first customers. So my first question was, what does cloud first mean? And the guy who was there, the CIO, he said, well, I'll tell you later, but first I want to describe, because you can't really understand it, I want to describe our business problem. And this was an athletic gear company, think running shoes. And here's what he said. He said they had realized about 8-10 years earlier that they had a fundamental problem because they mostly sold their shoes through malls. And increasingly, customers didn't want to go to the mall. And so they felt that they needed a different pathway to the customer, a direct pathway. And so they did a large digital transformation. They developed a website to sell their shoes and other stuff. They did Apple app, iPhone app, Android app, and they fundamentally changed their interaction model with their customers to where a high percentage of their business was going through these other models. That created an IT challenge because they built out everything on-prem to handle all of this back end, and it's a consumer company. So if you think about how that would work, their baseline load, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, their baseline load was 8,000-9,000 operations per second, customer interactions per second. But a few times per year, it would spike up to 500,000. 9,000, 500,000. And they had to build out their data center to cover that whole load. And they asked what would happen if we moved that into the cloud. In fact, for them, they chose Amazon. And because so much of the time their data center was mostly idle, they actually saved a lot of money, which is not always the normal case with cloud. But for them it was. So that was the background. And then here's what the CIO told me his problem was. His single most important app, the one that generated a big chunk of their revenue, that was really the only thing they had in the cloud. And so he wasn't confident that his staff was trained up enough on the cloud. And so his definition of cloud first was just, I've got to get more apps, like whatever will run there, I've got to get more apps into the cloud so that my staff knows how to deal with things when they break, knows how to get it right, knows how to get back up and running, just get everything working. So that was his issue. But you see different things from different people. The US government actually issued a cloud-first policy. And that policy, let me zoom in on the part that matters. They said the requirement was to require agencies to evaluate safe, secure cloud computing options before making any new investments. And I thought this was very interesting because they didn't require they have to use them. They just said, look, before you get started, we need to see that you tried. Can you evaluate a safe, secure cloud computing option? And then they just were trying to get people looking at it, right? I think, and that's a really good foundation. If you think about it, there's two separate questions, and by doing it this way, they split it apart. The first question is, could it go into the cloud? The second question is, should it go into the cloud? Very different style of question. Could it is really a technical question, right? It's nerdy, speeds and feeds and bandwidth, and I've got this code, maybe it's COBOL that runs on a mainframe. I mean, you could rewrite it, but short of that, like, no, literally, it cannot go into the cloud. But that's largely technical. The should it question I find more interesting because that's a strategic question. What are you trying to accomplish? Why would you want to go into the cloud? What are your competitors doing? What's your strategic situation? So I think you really have to address both of those. My goal today is to recreate the entire main stage session yesterday and today in 10 minutes. So George talked about customers going through a big digital transformation, so I talked about a customer going through a big digital transformation. George talked about how cloud is central to that, so I talked about how cloud is central to that. George got a futurist on stage. So let me make my future prediction. I believe we are just entering the decade, the golden decade of artificial intelligence. It is so smart that it's really cool, and it hasn't yet learned how to kill us. Decade. The futurist put up a picture of Jeff Bezos, and so I have my own picture of Jeff Bezos. That's me on the left in college, and Jeff was my roommate. How weird is that? I don't know whether any of you have had this experience, but like you've got roommates and there's one of them who's really successful and you just never feel like you can catch up. Then George had a cloud demo, and so I'm going to have a cloud demo. This is a command line demo because let's face it, graphical user interfaces are for wimps. Now, Anthony said command line demos would be boring, but we're going to show him. So I'm going to fire up, this is the Azure console. I'm going to fire up my favorite editor, VI. This is the JSON schema to create a cloud volume in Azure NetApp files. So let's look in. That's the name. All the stuff that came in from the GUI, that goes into the JSON. There's the usage threshold, how much data, because I'm worth it, premium. So we'll go back to the command line, and we'll use the AZ command to send that JSON schema off to the Azure Resource Manager. Anthony said this was boring. Come on. Okay, I do have to admit, this might be the world's dumbest demo. But there's a point I'm trying to make. When we started going into the cloud 4 years ago, I'm proud of what we did. I mean, we took ONTAP, we said, let's run it in a virtual machine, and we put it in Amazon and Azure, and now we've got it also in Google, and like people who love ONTAP, we'll put Waffle, we'll put ONTAP into the virtual machine, and you can have it. So, which is great, except it's not how cloudy people think. Cloudy people don't want to run ONTAP, they just want NFS as a service, or CIFS as a service, right? It's a whole different style. And what I love about what we've done here is it feels cloudy. It feels like what cloud developers would write for other cloud developers, and that's because it is, right? That's the approach we've gone down. Okay, let's see. There's one thing command lines are good for. Check it out. This is the Azure console. Click refresh, and we'll find out if our code worked. That's what GUIs are good for. I said command line. Yep, there's a volume, day volume. Okay, day one, cloud, 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 cloud. You could be wondering, do they even care about on-prem anymore at the end of day one? I was giving a presentation, this was just over a month ago, and a customer asked me the question, so Dave, when do you predict that NetApp will stop selling hardware? And I was like, dude, no, that is not the goal. And we've got so much cool stuff. I mean, we've talked about some of it, but there's solid storage grid, and there's FlexPod, and I mean, there's E-Series, there's so much stuff. The goal is not to stop selling it. In fact, and Joel talked about this, we absolutely believed if we helped people with data in the cloud, they would want to work with us also for their on-prem data. And we're seeing that. We're selling more hardware, not less hardware. The two go together because this is not about one part versus another part. And in fact, let me talk about how we see the future. Here's a picture that you've seen, but I just want to dig a little bit on this picture. So these three styles of infrastructure deployment, we don't think any of them are going anywhere. There's public cloud, there's on-prem cloud, and there's more traditional enterprise IT. All three of those are critical, and we're investing in all three. Essentially, Anthony owns the public cloud, Brad owns the on-prem cloud, and Joel owns the enterprise IT. It's easy to know if you're in a public cloud because you're writing a check to Amazon or Azure or Google or IBM or whoever. It's harder to know the difference between on-prem cloud versus enterprise IT. I would say 10 years ago, if it was a virtual machine, it was an on-prem cloud. Today, the bar is higher. It really needs to be a very uniform infrastructure. Typically, it's one blade servers or blade server, and it's all software defined. You can redefine its 20 nodes are one cluster. You can make it 2 clusters without touching any wires, right? I mean, it's that kind of flexible to be an on-prem cloud. So that's what it is. To me, the more interesting question is, why do people use these? And again, you've seen this, but I want to put it in the context of how all these pieces fit together. The reason is different for why you use public cloud, why you use private cloud, and what you're trying to accomplish, what you're doing when you're investing in your enterprise IT. The number one reason that we see people using public cloud is to drive innovation. My example at the beginning, the customer saved money. Sometimes you spend less with public cloud, sometimes you spend more, but that's not the issue. Let me just give an example. If you've got a team of people and you want an application like a mobile phone application and you want to look at the customer's face and do a demographic analysis, oh look, it's a 30-something woman and she's happy, Asian, and then you want to, maybe she says something and you do a voice recognition of that, and then maybe do analysis of that. What should we sell her? Is she happy? Should we call her? The team using the public cloud will win every time in getting to market on that kind of thing. That's the place you go. Public cloud definitely makes sense. What I hear people talking about private cloud, it's speed. You want to deploy in a service, you don't know what it is, you build a private cloud, can accept almost anything, maybe not every last thing, but there's always room for some custom stuff, but you just want to get going fast, be able to answer that question, can I do this? Yes. Private cloud, on-prem cloud. And then finally, with the enterprise IT, that's where the bulk of most people's spend has been. It's where, for most companies, the bulk of their install base is enterprise IT, and the question there is, how do I modernize it? So we really see this being what the cloud is about. So let's see, we're almost done. Joel had music. Okay, you didn't clap for me, but. In a time of disruptive change, one approach is to say whatever the new disruptive thing is, we'll do 100% that, 100% cloud, or if the iPhone is the new disruptive thing, we'll do nothing but write iPhone apps. That's one approach, and certainly it's a fine one. I think there's another approach you can take, which is to ask, how can we help manage the space between the old and the new? The space between, I've got my phone, but I still love my laptop, or I like the cloud, but I still want to use my on-prem. How do you manage that? And that really is what NetApp's data fabric strategy is about. It is not about telling you, oh, look, you have to use cloud, or you have to use on-prem. It's about us working with you. What are your goals? Are you looking for innovation? Are you looking to modernize? And then let us use the data fabric strategy to partner with you and figure out how to make this work for you, for your strategy. We don't know what that is. My request to you is, please work with us to build your data fabric. Thank you so much.